Long ago in the Grand Persian Empire, King Ahasuerus threw a huge feast for all his friends. The palace was filled with music, dancing, and delicious food. The king sat at the head of the table, surrounded by his princes and servants, enjoying the celebration. Meanwhile, Queen Vashti was in her room, playing with her toys and reading her favorite books. She was happy and peaceful, away from the noisy feast. Suddenly, a messenger arrived with a request from the king. He asked Queen Vashti to come to the feast and show her beauty to everyone. But Queen Vashti said no. She didn't want to be part of the king's big party. This made the messenger very nervous. When the king heard that Queen Vashti said no, he was furious. He stood up from his throne, and everyone at the feast fell silent. The king's advisors whispered to him, "Queen Vashti disobeyed you. You must choose a new queen." The king agreed, and the search for a new queen began. Meanwhile, in the city, a kind and brave little girl named Esther lived with her uncle Mordecai. Esther was happy playing in the sunny courtyard with her uncle. One day, Esther was chosen to go to the palace with other girls. She put on a beautiful gown and stood nervously in the grand hall. Mordecai watched Esther with pride. He knew she was special and would do great things. Esther explored the palace gardens. Filled with beautiful flowers and greenery, she felt brave and ready for what was to come. Esther stood before the king. Her kindness and beauty caught his attention, and he smiled at her. The king placed a small crown on Esther's head. She was now the new queen of Persia. Esther walked through the gardens, smiling and feeling proud. She knew she had a big responsibility. Mordecai watched Esther from the palace gates, feeling proud of his brave niece. There came Haman, who was promoted by the king, and all the king's servants bowed to him to show respect. Mordecai refused to bow. He said, "I only bow to God, not to people." This made Haman very angry. Haman was so mad that he stomped his feet and clenched his fists. He decided to punish not just Mordecai, but all the Jews. Haman went to the king and said, "The Jews are different. They don't follow your laws. We should punish them." The king listened to Haman and signed a law to punish the Jews. He didn't know Esther was one of them. Mordecai read the law heartbroken. He rent his cloth and put on sackcloth and cried bitterly. Mordecai sent Esther's maiden to tell her about the law. Esther prayed and fasted for 3 days and 3 nights for courage. She was ready to give up herself for her people. Esther walked toward the throne room, her heart pounding. She was ready to face the king. When Esther entered, she found favor in the sight of the king. He held out his golden scepter to welcome her. Esther invited the king and Haman to a special banquet. She had a plan to reveal Haman's evil plan. Haman was excited to attend the banquet. He didn't know Esther was about to reveal his secret. At the banquet, Esther pointed at Haman and said, "Haman wants to hurt my people, the Jews." The king was furious. He pointed at Haman and said, "You tried to hurt the queen's people?" Mordecai was honored because he revealed those who want to lay hands on the king. He was clothed with fine apparel and was cheered in the city. Haman was led away by the guards. His evil plan had failed. Esther and her people celebrated their freedom. The city was filled with joy and laughter. Esther stood with the king on the palace balcony watching the celebrations below. She had saved her people. The Jewish families danced and sang in the streets, grateful for Esther's bravery. Esther looked out over the city, feeling proud and hopeful. She had trusted God and stood up for what was right. Esther waved to the cheering crowds, knowing she had done something amazing. Mordecai stood beside Esther, proud of his brave niece. Together, they had saved their people. Esther's courage and faith changed everything. And her story reminds us that we can be brave too. Be a helper like Esther! Esther was a brave girl who helped her friends. Even when she was scared, she did the right thing. You can be brave too and help others, just like Esther.
Kindly subscribe for more videos like this.